What up, peeps? KgDrifty's in the building. I'm here to bring you guys another Warzone best class setup video. And today's weapon, we're going to be talking about the Kilo 141. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the video. Now, the Kilo is one of the most well-balanced, accurate, powerful weapons in Warzone, or not even just in Modern Warfare itself. It pretty much reminds everybody of the ACR. Well, it reminds me of the ACR. It pretty much has similar traits just like it. It's a laser gun. It has amazing accuracy, especially depending on what attachment that you do use, and it's extremely, extremely powerful. I like it. You can't go wrong with the Kilo. Multiplayer nor in Warzone. Well, in Warzone, as many of you guys know, it just got a buff not too long ago. So a lot of people have been using it. But like I said, I've been using the Kilo anyway, but not in Warzone because it was kind of trash in Warzone. But multiplayer, I love using the Kilo. It's extremely, extremely well-balanced, powerful weapon. And overall, the gun is just so great. But going on with the attachments that I have for the Kilo, the first attachment that I use for the muzzle is the Monolithic Suppressor. Everyone already know the Monolithic Suppressor is one of the overpowered barrels in the game, obviously, and you can't go wrong with it. It's pretty much used on every gun that people use. But what makes the Monolithic Suppressor so good is that it has that damage range, and on top of that, it has that sound suppression, obviously, because it's a silencer. But if you're in gunfights next to somebody who's camping or something, they can hear it just because, they tend to make, the audio in this game is a little bit louder than normal, but that's what makes the Monolithic Suppressor so great, just because it has that damage range, so it makes it a whole lot easier when you're shooting people from a far distance. Now, going on with the second attachment, that is the barrel, I use the SynGuard Arms 19.8 Prowler, and this is probably one of the best attachments that you can use with the Kilo, just because it has that damage range, that bullet velocity, and that recoil control. The only downside about it is the aim down to sight speed is a little bit slower, but that don't really matter because even when you're in close-up gunfights, you can aim in a little bit faster. It still aims in pretty fast. So, I won a lot of gunfights that was close up. So, that aim down to sight speed don't really matter too much. But at the end of the day, that's all you really need is that damage range, and on top of that, the recoil control, because that's what makes the gun so accurate and so versatile. Now, going on with the second attachment the third attachment that I use, and that is the laser, the Tac Laser. You don't necessarily have to use it. I'm only using it because I have the Shirolin variant for it, but personally, I've been using it, and the Tac Laser's been working out pretty good. It increases that aim down to sight speed and the aiming stability in your aim walking steadiness. So I do recommend using the Tac Laser. It comes in handy. It's very helpful, and it helps me out a lot when it comes down to aiming down the sight, especially when you're trying to be aggressive with the Kilo and you need to get into those gunfights. Now, going on with the fourth attachment, I use that is the Optic, and the Optic that I use is the VLK 3.0X Optic. I like using it just because it has that zoom level, so it makes it a whole lot easier to see enemies from a far distance, and on top of that, it's a really good scope. I really like it a lot. The only downside, like I said before, is just the aim down to sight speed, but with that Tac Laser, it increases the aim down to sight speed a lot better, so it makes it a lot easier to get into gunfights, and when you're in close combat, you can knock them down with no problem. Now, last but not least, the last attachment I use with the ammunition is a 60-round mag. I like using a 60-round mag. Like I said, this is pretty much up to you. You can also, if you don't want to use the 60-round, you can use 100. You can use 100-round drum, or you can use the 50-round mag. But personally, I like the 60-round just because it's decent. That's all you really need is 60 bullets. That's all you really need. You don't really, But if you have that 100-round, you can obviously keep shooting and knock them down easily, or you can use the 50. It really don't matter. But like I said before, the 60-round don't really, it's not really too much of an issue. It has that, obviously, it has that ammo capacity, but it do decrease with the aim down to sight speed. But it don't really matter. You don't really see a difference with it anyway. But that's what I use with the Kilo itself. And going on with the overall class altogether, I use the Kali sticks. I like the Kali sticks because I'm more of a Russian type of player. So you can move a lot faster with the Kali sticks. And on top of that, when you're in close gunfights or you got to run into that building, you can knock them down within 2 hits, 3 hits, 2 hits, one of those, and it stuns the enemy. So the Kali stick's extremely powerful, and I like it a lot. Now, with the perks that I use EOD, obviously protects you from explosives. I use Ghost. Ghost is very important in Warzone because everybody uses UAV, and then on top of that, I use Amped. Now, when it comes down to Amped, you don't really necessarily have to use it. I've kind of been going between Amped and Tune-Up just because with Tune-Up, it reduces the revive time by 25%. But that Amped comes in handy when you need to do a weapon swap. But like I said, when you have the Kali sticks, it really don't really matter too much. And personally, probably in multiplayer, yes. But in Warzone, not too much. I mean, I don't really see too much of a slight difference when switching between the two. But I use it anyway, but I depending on how I feel, I switch between the two. If I'm in solos, then I'll use amped. But if I'm in even then when I'm in duo or quads or trios, I'll use amped as well. But when it comes down to more team-based oriented game modes in Warzone, like I said, quads and trios and stuff, then tune-up will come comes in handy a lot because it just reduces that revive time, not only for yourself, but for your teammates as well. Now, with the lethal that I use is the C4. Everybody uses C4. C4 is very versatile. It's very good to use. And then on top of that, I use a stun grenade. I like using the stun grenade because, like I said, with the stun, enemies can't really turn their controllers, and it makes it a whole lot harder. So, when you're trying to bust inside a small area of, in a part of Warzone, you can use the Kali 6 to knock them down, or if you want to, shoot somebody from a far distance, you can stun. If you end up hitting them with the stun grenade, you can knock them down easily. But just don't rely too much on it, just because sometimes the game bullshits. So even when you have that stun grenade, it don't necessarily be effective as you want. Sometimes it does, but not all the time. But I like using stun grenade just because it helps me out in a lot of situations. But there you guys have it. That is the class setup that I use for my Kilo 141. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys want me to make any more class setups, or you guys have any other gun that I should try out that y'all guys suggest, what's your class setup, comment below, let me know, and I'm gonna definitely try to get to it. And if you want me to, I can make a video of your class setup and I can give you the credit for it. But like I said before, I hope you guys enjoy it. More great videos coming soon, and I'll see y'all in the next one.